Everybody says you need to be 100% honest with your therapist. But I bet you, if you've sat in therapy, there were times you were editing your thoughts in real time, and that has a huge cost for you. In this video, I'm going to break down the top 3 things people hide from their therapist, and they end up wasting their time and slowing down the healing process. If you happen to be doing any of them, I'll tell you exactly what to do to fix it. Sounds good? Stick around. I went from decades of panic attacks, bulimia, and depression to a happy and chilled life. And 70% of it, I achieved it in the first 3 months. Let's jump right into the number one thing people hide from their therapist, and it's costing them countless hours of therapy without seeing any progress. So ask yourself this question. Tell your therapist your problems. Do you tell them exactly how bad things are? And I mean exactly. Because when I was a patient, I gave my therapist around 40% of the reality. I wasn't lying. I told her panic attack, bulimia, depression. That is my reality. But did I tell them how disgusting it was to be carrying a huge box of pizza and muffins on top of it to go home and have a bulimic event? Mm-mm. Did I tell her how gross it was to live in an apartment that was full of packaging, food packaging on the floor for weeks on end? Mm-mm. Did I tell her how much I hated myself when I was crying in the bathroom, bloated with food, and I couldn't even make myself sick? No, I didn't say any of those things. I showed up and I said this was a tough week. There was a lot of anxiety and a lot of bulimia. I didn't say I'm falling apart and this is not stopping. Why did I do that? Out of shame. But here's what nobody warns you about. If you do therapy and you don't trust yourself to expose it the way it really is, you're not healing. You're just beating around the bush. And shame is not just a thought. Shame is a feeling. It lives in the body, in the nervous system. It's the knot in the throat. It's the tightness in the chest. And it needs to get out if you are to get better. How do we do that? With the drama queen technique, which is exactly what I do with my clients now at the very beginning. Because I don't expect them to trust me 100%, and I do expect some holding back to happen. So let's do it together so that you can see how it works. Think of something that you are ashamed of telling your therapist, but you know it is worthwhile saying it and exposing it for what it is. I'm gonna go for, if I were to turn time back, I would go for, I'm ashamed for not showering in days. Okay? Think of it. So close your eyes and imagine yourself saying that to your therapist. What resistance do you feel? From 0 to 10, 10, oh my God, never. 0. Okay, and tap with me. 4 fingers of one hand, fleshy part of the other hand. Please repeat after me. Even though I'm ashamed to tell my therapist that, fill in the dots. I'm gonna say I haven't showered for weeks. And that makes me feel disgusted with myself. And it's really tough for me to admit it. I deeply and completely accept myself. I'm so ashamed of myself. I'm so gross. This is disgusting. I'm so ashamed of this. I don't want anybody to know. I'm so disgusting. This is so gross. I'm so ashamed of it. Okay. Close your eyes and now picture yourself saying that to your therapist. Is there any difference? Is it maybe easier this time? Do this right before your next therapy session, and you will be amazed by how much honesty will come out of your mouth. Which brings us to number 2. And this one is even more important because the second thing people tend to hide from their therapist and slows down the healing process, it's not about them, it's about the therapist. When I was a patient, I remember there were times that I was big time doubting my therapist. And I don't mean in the sense if they're qualified for what they do. I mean, do they even know what they're doing? Is there any progress really happening? Because I was showing up week after week, doing the homework, trying my best, and yet nothing was changing. The same panic attacks, the same bulimia, the same depression. And here's what got me. When nothing changes, when I put so much effort in, where does the blame land? Because if I'm trying my best, what if they don't know what they're doing? And I was boiling in anger at times. But did I say any of those things to my therapist? No, I didn't. I said, oh, thank you very much, that was helpful. Because I was taught that talk therapy takes time to work. And here is what I wish I had known about that anger. Anger is a normal mechanism in the body that screams at us something needs to change. And something needed to change because I needed results and I wasn't getting them. So here's how you fix that. If you are in therapy and you are frustrated because you are not seeing results, this is the time to ask your therapist for some clarity on how do we measure progress? What is the plan for me? How do I know I'm improving? How far down the line am I? What exactly should I be expecting here? And this is important because this type of anger, it's not the one that you just have to release and calm down. This is the type of anger that needs something for you in your favor. What I do when I have my tapping clients, um, tracking results is an embedded part of the process because we always use the scale from 0 to 10 during the session, at the beginning, at the end, and in between. So I actually train my clients to measure from 0 to 10 their reactions, their stress levels, and see how they are improving. So we don't really have that problem with tapping. But if you are in talk therapy, it's high time you started to demand some kind of equivalent of this. And now to the final and most confusing part. Because this seems very innocent, almost unimportant, and yet it's a crucial part that leads to healing. Because once you learn to be straightforward, there is one more shift that you need to learn how to do so that all this honesty doesn't go to waste. And this is not everyday knowledge because we are not surrounded by people who have solved their mental health problems, they turn their life around, and they know how this process works. This is another ball game. And I am about to open up that game to you by telling you what is the third thing that is important that you share with your therapist if you want to speed up your healing. What I never told my therapist is how much I loved them at times. And I don't mean romantic type of love. I mean this childlike happiness when you feel seen, when your therapist remembers something you mentioned a while ago, when they're genuinely happy because you are having a good week or you're making some progress. And yes, not expressing that holds back your healing. It never crossed my mind until I actually became an EFT practitioner and I started working with my own clients. Because here is the thing, expressing gratefulness, expressing gratitude towards another person, it puts us in a very real, vulnerable position. And if you're able to do that, this means there is some safety created in the body. And the therapy environment is the safest environment, the most unconditional environment you have in your life. So if it is really difficult for you to do it in the therapy room, it will be almost impossible to do it in real life. And healing is supposed to start in the therapy room. How do we fix that? We're going to fix it on the spot. Now, think of somebody that you love or like and you haven't told them or you don't tell them enough. And close your eyes and imagine telling them. Look them into their eyes and tell them, I love you. I know it's cringy. So from 0 to 10, tell me how cringy it is. I'm not doing this. This is absolutely impossible. That's a 10. 0, yeah, that's fine. And now close your eyes and put your attention in your heart center. Forget everything we talked about. Just put your attention in your heart center. And connect with the beating of your physical heart for a few breaths. That's all. And now bring in mind a loving moment. Any moment between you and somebody else from any point in your time where you exchanged love, even if you don't feel it right now, it doesn't matter. And make this moment big, make it bright, make it the only thing happening in your mind's eye for a few moments. I'm giving us some silence. We do it together. And now imagine a warm breeze of loving light comes into the room where you are, passes through you, through the cells of your body, and all this fear of admitting that you love them, all this fear of being real and vulnerable, imagine it being pushed out and it's coming out like dark clouds that cannot stand the glowing light. I'm giving us some silence. We do it together. Excellent. Open your eyes and think again about that person and imagine telling them, I love you. Is it easier this time? Is it maybe okay this time? Is it even inspiring to do it? If you actually feel like it, pause the video and text them or call them right now. If you only take one thing from this video, let it be this. Heavy emotions like shame, fear, anger, they don't just leave you because you understood them. You need the practical tool to take them out of your nervous system to release them. And that tool is EFT tapping. But I don't want you to take my word for it. I want you to see it with your eyes. That's why I recorded myself a day that I was frustrated. I turned the camera on and I tapped until I calmed down. And I want you to watch the shift happening live. Go.